in Dallas, do you feel like the voice is falling on deaf ears to some extent?
What voice?
Do you feel like he's lost the locker room at all?
Well, let's not say so. That lost the locker room. I remember John Madden and Al Davis called me after we won one game the very first year, and he said, well, at least you didn't lose the team or the locker room. I said, well, what's that? How do you lose a team? You misplace them on the road or what? And I'm not trying to be cute here, but they say, well, you didn't lose it. Well, I can tell you in there right now with kind of careers a bunch of those guys have, kind of the prospects of their futures, the competitors they are. I don't worry 1 ounce about losing anything as far as in the family of losing a team. Now, you don't need to worry about anybody in that locker room giving everything they've got and more, and how bad they feel when they get beat on a play or get beat in a quarter or the whole game at all.
I don't
ever worry about that. Now, you did question it, and I'm just giving you the answer.
That was Jerry Jones with my favorite TV sports reporter, Jane Slater. I love Jane Slater. Anyway, Jerry talking about Mike McCarthy and has he lost the team? They lost last night 34-10 to the Houston Texans, and that's where we begin today's show. Welcome to Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I'm Jason Whitlock, your host. The Dallas Cowboys are in the toilet. Thank you for joining me. But I have the solution, and it's not really an original solution for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk about it today. It's going to include me having to admit that I was wrong about something. But yeah, Mike McCarthy's lost the locker room. He's lost the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys, look, they lost Dak Prescott, and so it was going to be tough. But the entire team has underachieved, and it's time for Jerry to really clean house. And cleaning house will include Jerry taking more of a back seat. And there's only one way for Jerry to take more of a back seat. I'm going to explain here in a second. But I want to remind you all to make sure you're joining the Fearless mission. The greatest way, the greatest thing you can do to support me and this show and a biblical worldview in sports. Go to fearlessmission.com. Use my promo code FEARLESS40, the number 40, and you can save $40 on your yearly subscription. You'll get everything that we produce here at Fearless, everything the Blaze produces. I need you to do this, honestly. We need to disrupt the system, disrupt the algorithm that's rigged against us, and the best way we can do it is by leaning into and relying on you so that we can continue to give you this type of content. So let me get into the Cowboys and what the solution is. And I cannot say that, this is some original idea by me. I can say that I'm actually late to this party. But the Cowboys need a coach who can dwarf Jerry Jones. And there's only one coach who can dwarf Jerry Jones, Deion Sanders. I have to admit that Deion Sanders is the right man to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. There's a bunch of other candidates that people are going to throw around, and I've considered, thought about them. None of them can do what Jerry Jones, what Deion Sanders can do. He can make Jerry Jones less relevant. Here's some of the other candidates. Bill Belichick, great coach. Maybe the greatest coach in football history. He's out there. He's been humbled. He'd be a very good coach for the Dallas Cowboys. But he would not make Jerry Jones less relevant. He would not be any competition for Jerry Jones's post-game news conference and Jerry Jones's ability to always center himself as the focus of attention in that organization. The owner can't be the focus of attention of a football organization if the organization is going to be run properly, have the right tone. It can't be the guy who's cutting the checks and who overpays for guys that he likes and who's not willing to say, you know what, Dak Prescott, you've been very good, but I'm not paying you $60 million a year. I know you've been a great leader. I know you've stuck with me, but we have a hardcore business football decision we have to make, and we got to move on from you. Deion Sanders would do that. He would do that, and he would dwarf Jerry Jones in terms of the ability to draw attention to himself. Deion is the number one sports person. The guy went 4-8 last year and got named Sports Illustrated Sportsman of the Year. That's how much attention Deion Sanders can draw, and that's how much attention needs to be taken away from Jerry Jones. Bill Belichick can't do that. John Gruden can't do that. Mike Vrabel can't do that. Here's a guy that is a wild card that Jerry Jones talks about, but obviously it could not happen, in my view, if Jerry Jones went this direction. But I want to play shot number 2 and listen to Jerry Jones talk about Jason Witten, the former Cowboys tight end. Jerry Jones on Jason Witten. Play the clip.
But Jason is very sophisticated when it comes to understanding football and all the nuances. But more important than anything, he really does understand the physical and the mentality of being physical, that part of it. So without a question, he can become above high school. He can become a coach. He has extraordinary work ethic. And he is absolutely calls on his teammates, or would call on his players as a coach. So yeah, he can be a top coach.
That's Jerry Jones talking about another guy he would like to install potentially as a puppet in the Cowboys organization. That won't fix what's wrong with the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones has to have his puppet strings cut, and there's only one person who can cut those strings, and it's Deion Sanders. You sit there and think, well, it's Bill Belichick. He's got 6 Super Bowls. Hey, Jerry Jones put puppet strings on Bill Parcells, and Bill Parcells left the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones, same thing, John Gruden. John Gruden, because of, the smear campaign has done to his reputation, he can't dwarf Jerry Jones. Deion Sanders can. I can't believe I'm sitting here arguing this authentically. There's not an ounce of sarcasm in what I'm saying. I have to acknowledge Deion Sanders has proven he would be a valuable and worthy candidate to be an NFL head coach, and it makes perfect sense with the Dallas Cowboys. Let me be crystal clear, and this isn't me trying to sugarcoat or give myself an out. A big part of my problem with Deion Sanders has been I don't like his approach as it relates to college football. His, hey, look at me, his all the rappers on the sidelines and the rappers part of the deal. I don't like that as it relates to college football. I don't like it really as it relates to NFL football, but it bothers me a lot less. If Deion Sanders wants to go to the NFL and go gold chain for gold chain with NFL players and wants to, be a little baby rapper like NFL players, doesn't bother me nearly as much as him setting that tone in a collegiate atmosphere with 18, 19, 20-year-old impressionable young men. He wants to take that act to the NFL and wear his gold chains and put his hoodie over his head so he can be more relatable. And he wants to invite every rap artist into the Cowboys locker room. You won't hear me whining and crying about it. Deion makes sense at the NFL level far more than he does at the collegiate level. And I say that knowing that a lot of these recruits now, high school, top-level high school recruits, because of the success Colorado's had this year, because of the style of offense, I think one of the top-rated quarterbacks in all of high school football has decommitted, I think, from USC and is considering Georgia and Colorado. I get that Deion's got some momentum as it relates to college, and again, the way they built that system through name, image, and likeness, his ability to sway players with money and with his charisma and personality, he will, if he sticks around in Colorado, I think he has success even after Shedeur and Travis Hunter leave. That receiving core is talented. What they've done with their defensive front and just defensive approach, and it's been more than just on the back end, it's been more than just Travis Hunter playing at a high level. Deion can have success at the collegiate level under the current construct of collegiate football. Name, image, and likeness, transfer portal, all of that. He makes more sense in the National Football League, and he makes the most sense with the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry Jones needs someone like Deion Sanders to make Jerry Jones less relevant and to make the Cowboys more about football than everybody there trying to figure out how they can get a payday from Jerry Jones, because that's all that's going on. That's the problem. They haven't had a football person installed since Jerry ran Jimmy Johnson out of there who dwarfs Jerry Jones. I'm taking no credit. I'm having to admit I was dead wrong about Deion's coaching ability and his viability as a football coach, collegiate level, NFL level. I'm admitting I'm wrong. And none of this is really all that original thought, because there were people, and again, I think inappropriately, hopping on the Deion bandwagon even last year, but there have been people even this year, earlier this year, that started hopping on the Deion Sanders bandwagon and started talking about him being an NFL head coach. And when I first heard it, I was like, here we go again. All this Coach Prime butt kissing and more people doing it, and it just looked unseemly to me. But earlier this morning on Get Up on ESPN, that crew was talking about Deion Sanders to the Dallas Cowboys, and it made a lot of sense to me. Let's play the clip.
And what would you think of that marriage if it might come together, Jerry and Deion?
Look, I think the NFL overall is exactly – the NFL needs someone like Deion Sanders, quite honestly. He fits the NFL. It's a matter of whether or not the NFL fits him. That's the issue, whether it's Dallas or anywhere else. Because let me just tell you this. Anybody who knows that man, he takes a back seat to nobody.
Right.
Nobody. Not an owner, not players, not other coaches, nobody. And for him to come to the NFL right now and have to deal with mega millionaires who don't want to practice, who don't want to play hard, who don't want to sacrifice, who don't want to listen, that would send him through the roof. See, he can control that to a large degree at Colorado and in the college game. I don't know if the pro game necessarily is what he wants, but I can tell you this, if I was an owner and I spent some time talking to him like I've talked to him and understand what makes him tick, I would be trying desperately to get him into my building. There's no question about that. It's just a matter of whether or not he wants it.
So when Louis Riddick first started out with the comment about the NFL needs Deion Sanders, my initial instinct was to disagree. I was like, the NFL needs Deion Sanders. NFL, you know, they don't need anybody. You know, they print ratings, they print money, blah, blah, blah. But then when I thought about it deeper and fully understood what Louis Riddick is talking about, Louis Riddick, and this is where I got, this pains me. Not that I dislike Louis Riddick, but you know I don't like ESPN. It pains me to have to acknowledge that someone over at ESPN has said something cutting edge and has made a point. And he didn't fully clarify it there, or maybe in that clip he didn't fully clarify it. But what he's arguing is, hey, NFL owners, you have players that are making $30, $40 million a year, some of them 50, 60 million. You got guys making 10 million, 5 million, what? It all feels like monopoly money to those kids. And the current environment and culture makes these guys not want to practice, makes these guys not want to play hard all the time. They all think they've made it, and it makes them less likely to listen to the standard coach that is presented in the NFL. And Lewis is arguing like, No, perhaps with the circumstances we've set up, with the players making this much money and this much leverage and power, perhaps they're best coached by NFL legends. That's the argument that Louis Riddick is making, is that it will take a legend to be able to tame these young guys with all of this money who can't wait to hit a strip club, who can't wait to throw their gold chains on and take the football field and do their little celebratory dances, and that Deion Sanders perhaps is one of the few guys that they will listen to, who when he says, no, we're about more than this, we're about putting in the work to be great, blah, 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 that they'll actually listen. He's saying that's what Deion has proven at Colorado. It's a little lab rat test case at Colorado because those guys are all making money. But Deion, in a unique situation, his son being the quarterback and his other son being the free safety on the defensive side, and Travis Hunter looking at him as a father figure, Deion has been able to instill a culture at Colorado where they play with a toughness, they practice hard. It's actually worked. I got a hat tip Louis Riddick for pointing this out. Louis Riddick is saying the old dynamic of Bill Belichick and some of these other coaches, that it has died. And that, and again, he's arguing perhaps somewhat in his own self-interest, that he's saying we've entered the era where former NFL players, and particularly former all-time great NFL players, actually make the best head coaches. I'm not sure if I'm ready to jump fully on board with that, but I think it's a conversation worthy of having. I got a hat tip Louis Riddick. It pains me to have to hat tip Deion Sanders and say, oh boy, Deion's right about, he's right about that. He can coach football. He can produce a culture where football toughness, because that was the other thing. I just never thought Deion, as soft as he was as a player and just with all the gold chains and all that, I never thought he could build a tough football team. This is a pretty tough Colorado football team. He's proven me wrong there. Now, I'm still right. You know, I don't like the way he represents himself with no humility and things like that, but the man can coach, and so I got to admit that. Not apologizing. I'm just admitting when I'm wrong. Listen, Butter, this is what, you've only known me for 2 or 3 years. And this is a rare occasion, Butter, and savor it. Because I'm wrong about once every 10 years.
You're like the.
Your mic's not on. Is Butter's mic not? I don't hear Butter's mic in my ear. Butter, you're witnessing something very rare. And the audience, I think, I'm sure the people in the chat right now are sitting there mesmerized and saying, whew, boy, it's been about 9.5 years since Whitlock's been wrong. And I'm sure the people in the chat are savoring this moment. Whitlock is wrong for the first time in 9.5 years. Now I hear it. It's an amazing moment. I hope everybody remembers where they were on this date. What is today? November 17th, 18th, what is it? 19th?
Every 10 years, you're wrong.
About once every 10 years on average. And November 19th, 2024, well, I'm wrong. Savor this moment.
I will, but I did want to ask you one component about this, because it's interesting. Do you see Deion and Shedeur as a duo package? Like, if he were to come to Dallas as just the head coach and Shedeur would end up somewhere else, do you see him doing that? Or does it have to be the tandem?
It does. Deion can coach without Shedeur, but Deion won't coach in the NFL without Shedeur.
How do they both end up in Dallas?
Well, Dallas is going to suck and probably have a pretty decent high draft choice, and Deion will make it crystal clear that Shedeur is not signing anywhere. Shedeur's made a lot of money. Deion's made a lot of money. Deion, if he goes to the NFL, someone's going to pay him $10, $12 million a year to be the head coach. And Deion will sit there and say, hey, my son will wait. He'll wait till you trade him to Dallas. He's got the
leverage to do it.
Yeah, he's got the leverage to do that. And so, yeah, I think Deion would figure out a way to get Shedeur there. Now, you got Dak Prescott there making $60 million a year. And again, that's why you need a Deion to dislodge Jerry from his relationship with Dak Prescott and acknowledge that would be part of probably a trade package to get a pick high enough to get Shedeur. But anyway, I'm wrong. And savor this moment. It'll be another 10 years. Most of you guys will be graduated from college or into retirement the next time that I'm wrong. But I'm wrong about Deion Sanders. He can coach, and I'm sitting here like everybody else, sitting there saying, look how trash the Dallas Cowboys are. They need Deion Sanders. All right, we'll bring Steve Kim into this conversation on the other side of this, but I want to talk to you guys about my cell phone service with Patriot Mobile. Americans are tired and frustrated by a stalling economy, inflation, endless wars, and the relentless assault on our values. Thankfully, there's a company like Patriot Mobile out here that still believes in American values and our Constitution. They're proud Trump supporters. I'm proud to partner with Patriot Mobile because they're on the front lines fighting for First and Second Amendment rights, the sanctity of life, and our military and first responders. Take a stand for conservative causes and put America first by switching to Patriot Mobile today. This is about more than just voting in Donald Trump. We got to back it up with our dollars and support companies like Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile operates across all 3 major networks. Plus, they back their service with a coverage guarantee. Their 100% US-based customer service team will find the best plan for your needs. Keep your number, keep your phone, or you can upgrade. Go to patriotmobile.com/Jason or call 972-PATRIOT right now. Get a free month when you use the offer code Jason. Don't get fooled by other providers pretending to share your values or have the same coverage. They don't and they can't. Join me, switch to America's only Christian conservative mobile provider, Patriot Mobile. That's patriotmobile.com/Jason or call 972-PATRIOT for your free month of service today. Don't go anywhere. Steve Kim is going to come back and he'll celebrate with the rest of you all. I'm wrong once in a decade. And we'll talk about Deion Sanders and the Dallas Cowboys. X.
I've been selling my stuff, hustling eBay, PlayStation car parts for little or no pay, so I can sit out here and watch the Titans play. Stumble on home and rub my blue balls away. It's a damn shame what the NFL has turned to for fans like me and fans like you. Wish I could just wake up in Patriots red, white, and blue, but I can't. This football nightmare's true. Living in a Madden world with Lombardi sold. These cowards bound to feminists, Lord knows they all just want to wear pantyhose and control what you think. Want to vex you and mask you, and they don't think we know that they drink Bud Light too. Cause these players don't hit, might as well have limp wrists. Cause of these cowards bowing down to feminists. I wish sports media would look out for fans and not just Taylor Swift promoting her brand. Lord, we out in the parking lot, tailgating, grilling meat, and the obese just can't wait to eat. Well, got it through a referee, and blind is a bat. Roger Goodell should grow a pair and give you the axe. We had Derrick Henry, we played ground and pound, but the idiot Titans chased our king out of town. Lord, it's a damn shame what the NFL has turned to for fans like me and fans like you. Wish I could just wake up in Patriots red, white, and blue, but I can't. This football nightmare's true. Living in a Madden world with Lombardi soul. These cowards control what you think, wanna vex you and mask you, and they don't think we know that they drink Bud Light too. Cause these players don't hit, might as well have limp wrists. Cause with these cowards bowing down to feminists. I've been selling my stuff, hustling eBay, PlayStation car parts for little or no pay.
모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 Reason that I'm back is to feed you raps I see that you are 배불러 So fly
All right, welcome back. Steve Kim. I've jumped full board on the Deion Sanders to the Cowboys bandwagon.
Jeez.
I'm not apologizing, but I am admitting I was wrong about Deion's coaching ability. Am I crazy for thinking Deion would be a great fit for the Cowboys?
This is more stunning than when Hulk Hogan turned heel and did the whole NWO thing. Jeez.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are anymore. Jason, in terms of your statement, I don't know if anyone's a great fit for Dallas. I mean, I think that's a glamorous job. There's a lot of perks. They're going to get paid a lot. But there are some issues that are going to remain no matter who the coach is. Number one, Jerry is never giving up control of that organization from the top down. He's not. And he's going to be the GM. He's going to be a pseudo coach. He's going to be the spokesperson to the day he dies. The other thing is, I tweeted yesterday in the late stages of their latest blowout loss. I said, is it in the words of Brian Billick when it comes to the Cowboys, just blow the whole damn thing up? And a bunch of people pointed out to me, Steve, have you seen Dak Prescott's salary that they're stuck with? That is an absolute albatross, and it got me thinking to my beloved James William Jimmy Johnson. Remember, everyone thought him with the Miami Dolphins was going to be unbelievable, a match made in heaven. There was a problem. He was stuck with an aging, declining Dan Marino, and he couldn't get rid of him because he was a sacred cow, and it never really fit together, even though they made the playoffs 3 out of 4 years. Now, I do want to point this out in terms of the Dallas Cowboys and who really has control. To be fair to Jerry, post Jimmy Johnson, they went through about a decade of Chan Gailey, Dave Campo, and a lot of forgettable stuff. But he got desperate enough, remember this, to bring in Bill Parcells. And he ceded him control. And to Parcells' credit, he didn't win a Super Bowl, but he left them in a very, very good spot for Wade Phillips.
Steve, you somewhat dodged my question. You say it's not a good job for anybody.
For anybody.
But it's just not. Like he got desperate and turned to Bill Parcells. This is 12, 15 years later. He's got to be even more desperate right now.
Well,
and would be willing. And Deion Sanders is the one guy who could make Jerry Jones less relevant.
Okay, to your point, I actually agree with your premise. I do. And it has to come with the realization from Jerry, no more daily press conferences, no more post-game scrums. Deion, I'm going to give this over to you. I don't know if you want to be GM, but I'll get you a one if you want one. I don't know if you want to do all that stuff. Maybe you just want to coach and lead men. But if Jerry Jones wants to make a splash, that's one part of it. To your point, is he willing to step back and play the owner that nobody sees? I'm getting sick of watching Cowboy games. And again, this is about 25 years in. I don't need to see 10 shots of Jerry Jones in the owner's box. I don't understand what in the world that has to do with the game other than the fact he's become this character. And look, the issue is, I believe the Cowboys need to actually start over. But at that man's age, there is no starting over. You talk about a 5-year rebuild. I don't want to make macabre, but he may not have 5 years. I'm just going to be honest about it. But if you want to make a splash, you want to be a buzzworthy team, yeah, get Deion, get Coach Prime.
Look. Rebuilds in the NFL don't take 5 years anymore. It takes a rookie quarterback getting hot. That's all. The Washington Commanders, decent team. They were trash last year, the years before. They get Jaden Daniels, and again, he's cooled off, but transformation. We've seen this with last year. C.J. Stroud got hot. He's in year 2. They're still playing pretty well. We've seen it with Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. How you get rid of Dak is Jerry's going to have to eat part of that salary and then pawn him off on some other team while you pay part of that salary, and then they start over with Deion and Shedeur. Hopefully you catch lightning in a bottle.
So rebuilds are easy, huh? Well, the Raiders are in about the 22nd year of a 5-year rebuild. And here's the other part of the equation. In the heart of hearts, do you really think Shedeur Sanders or any quarterback in this draft, do you really think that they're an Andrew Luck level prospect? I don't. I'm not even so sure any of these guys are even in the same stratosphere as Jaden Daniels. Yeah, I said it.
You cited 5 or 6 examples.
I didn't cite 5 or 6, but I said 2 or 3.
3 or 4.
Yeah. Steve, first of all, I didn't say the word it was easy, and I didn't say there's an Andrew Luck in this draft. They have no choice. They're not going to win with Dak Prescott. They have to get out from underneath that. Eat part of his salary, trade him to someone that wants a veteran quarterback that's reliable and steady, and last year during the regular season played at a Pro Bowl level, and see what you have in Shedeur Sanders. I get that, he's not Andrew Luck or John Elway coming out of the draft, but who knows? Who thought C.J. Stroud was what he was? Who knows? You thought C.J. Stroud was what he is? You thought he'd come in as a rookie and light it up?
He was the best prospect last year. I was not on the Caleb one. I said C.J. Stroud is a guy. I'm on the record.
Okay,
Google me.
A lot of people recognize Caleb
Google
Williams was.
Can I make a couple average sports fan comments here real quick?
Please,
First of all, Steve, you have the best intro music in the business. I don't know what that is, but when you come in, it is so high.
I had nothing to do with it.
I believe the Dak Prescott contract doesn't scare me at all because it's tradable. He's a viable quarterback. He's not going to play the rest of the year. There's no injuries. You can trade that straight up. Somebody would trade for Dak Prescott or at least eat most of the contract.
Yeah.
Do 2 lead singers, or if Shedeur's with them, a trio, do they work? Can they work in the NFL with 2 lead singers?
Who's the 2?
Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders, 2 lead singers in a band. The only way it works is if it burns hot, fast, and quick. And Steve, that's exactly what you just said. Or I don't know if you said it. This needs to be something that happens now and immediate. If you look at the Steelers, if you look at the Cowboys, they're patient. They take their time. They don't move away from people quickly. Jerry Jones knows this is a now move. He now knows he has to go big. 2 lead singers with Shedeur, it would be a trio. I think it's going to happen.
Okay,
I think that. Go ahead, Steve.
I want to make this point, and I'm going to go all Buddy Ryan here. Okay, I just want you to know you're not in the Big 12 anymore. Just going to leave it like that. The talent advantages on the outside that he had in Colorado, playing that schedule, he is now in a gauntlet. This is a little bit different. If you think Shedeur is going to be the savior along with his father, go ahead. My view is this. I don't think Shedeur or any quarterback this draft is going to be that great at the next level.
I hear you, but just remember there were guys like Jason Whitlock who said, this ain't Jackson State. You've now moved into a Power 4, Power 5 conference, blah, blah, blah. And I was right about the Pac-12, but he's heard that before, that like, hey, man, that was Jackson State. That was HBCU football. That was the SWAC. You can't translate it to Power 4, Power 5 football. Well, he's done that, Steve. And just to be crystal clear, let's go all the way back to the beginning of this year when you, and to a lesser degree me, I was a bit more skeptical, but I'm not trying to cover myself at all. But we thought the Big 12 would be too big of a test for Deion and his team.
We did.
And this team or that team in the Big 12. I was a tiny bit more skeptical, but I thought it would be too much for him this year. So he's heard all that before. I think when you're sitting there, he is a qualified NFL head coaching candidate at this point. I don't think anybody can say that that's not the case. As it relates to Shedeur, we have to remember, Steve, Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick and turned out to be the greatest quarterback in NFL history. So I hear you. I'm right there with you. Shedeur holds the ball too long. I don't think his arm talent is elite, but he's really effective. He's, in my view, the MVP of that Colorado football team. If Jerry Jones decided, hey, I'm gonna roll the dice with Deion and Shedeur, even if it doesn't work out, I'll understand the gamble. I'll understand why he did it. Going this traditional route and saying we're going to build the team this way, and we're going to sign a franchise quarterback and give him blah, blah, it hasn't worked. He's in a position where he has to roll the dice. And I think if he's going to, I'd rather see him roll the dice with Deion and Shedeur than Bill Belichick and Dak than John Gruden and Dak. That's what this really comes down to, in my mind. Which gamble would you rather see him take? One that includes Dak and a proven NFL head coach, or one that includes Deion and an unproven quarterback?
Well, the Cowboys have gone as far as they can with Dak, to his credit, who's led them to a lot of wins. But I think the die is cast there. I just get the sense that Dak Prescott needs a new, fresh start for whoever is willing to take on that gargantuan contract. Look, I understand the risk, but I actually think that the best candidate out there hasn't even been mentioned. But again, you're looking for the splash, you're looking for the buzz.
Well, mention him.
Ben Johnson. Yeah, I get it. He's just a coordinator, but he will be a guy that will have multiple job offers. The job that he has done with Detroit and writing Jared Goff and using old school principles, but still having an explosive offense. That's the guy that I'm thinking. I thought Detroit was very lucky that he said, you know what? I'm not ready to be a head coach yet. Let me give one more year of my life to Dan Campbell in Detroit. I love that move. That's a guy who's a serious human being. When I look at Detroit and I look at the concepts that they run, I'm like, ooh, someone is going to get one of the brightest offensive minds of recent modern NFL history.
Hold on, Butter. Before you jump in, this is why I'm the host of the show, because it takes a lot of work for Steve to ever get anywhere good, and I have to force it out of him.
Man, you got it rolling on Steve today.
But when he gets there, it's actually good. I hadn't thought of Ben Johnson. Holy cow, I can't believe all the level of work I had to do to get him to say that, but he finally came up with a good idea.
You should be the head coach.
I did the heavy lifting.
You get your players.
It's rolling out the main event.
The thing, though, that we're not. Look at Deion, though. Look at the tangibles that I think have impressed me about what's happening in Colorado. Look how hard that team plays. And look at just like Donald Trump right now is putting together his team and he's putting all these people in place. I think Deion has done a good job of recognizing who to bring in as coaches and who to put on his staff. You're not on an island in the NFL. It's really about the staff that you amass and put together. And I think Deion has done a great job of showing you that he can identify the players and the right coaching staff to upgrade what he did the year before and where he's projecting now.
Good Lord, it pains me to have to agree with Butter on all of that, but I got to give Deion that credit. He's put together an amazing coaching staff. He got rid of some guys that he didn't like last year, and I thought it was crazy what he did to the San Diego State head coach and some of the others, Sean Lewis, but I got to give him credit. He's put together an incredible staff. I think he could do the same thing in the NFL. He was doing it with NFL guys. The Robert Livingstone, their defensive coordinator, is an NFL guy. Pat Shermer, their OC, is an NFL guy. Steve, let me ask you one last thing. Did you hear Louis Riddick's point about this current NFL and just the players and how much money they make, that it actually takes someone like a Deion Sanders to motivate these guys? What do you think of that?
Well, first of all, Louis Riddick is a meat and potatoes football guy. He calls a good game. I really respect what he does. There's no frills. There's no agenda, just ball. And he teaches you something. Big fan of his. But there is a trend now that, or a perception that Bill Belichick is a relic. And that his style of coaching, that dour personality, which I think he's trying to change that perception with that podcast that he does every week that I enjoy. Okay, Coach. There's a valid point to be made about that, because you could look at Dan Campbell, who certainly was a football player's player, right? Wasn't a star, but was a journeyman, did all the dirty work, but he can relate to the everyday player, from the superstar all the way to the last guy on the roster. But you still got to choose the right guy, Jason, because there's also Antonio Pierce. And I like the job Pierce did last year, getting the Raiders to play hard. But as he settled in as the full-time coach, you see what's going on there. It seems like that stuff is very unsteady in Las Vegas. So is there a trend to get the next Mike Vrabel instead of the next Bill Walsh? Guys who really didn't have a playing background? I think there's a case that could be made, but I just wonder, maybe Bill Belichick's also very old. I just felt as though, and again, this is where Belichick ran into some problems. Bill Belichick, the GM, really hurt Bill Belichick, the coach. If you look at the last 4 or 5 drafts, especially offensively with New England, that really hampered their ability to move along that franchise post Tom Brady. But yeah, I do think Louis Riddick makes a point, but keep this in mind. You still got to get the right ex-player to be the coach.
I'm going to read a text I just got from Anthony. Pastor Anthony comes on the show. He's a big sports fan. He just texted, Deion has influence over college players. He has what they want, wealth and fame. Deion has the admiration of some NFL players, but to coach them, he would need their respect as a head coach. They have what he has, wealth and fame. Final thought on that, and then I'm going to switch up topics.
I think that's a very, very valid point there. Here's my view as someone that really loves college football. I want Deion Sanders to stay at Colorado or in college for as long as possible. He brings the sport a lot of spotlight, and he brings it a personality. He makes you care whether you love or hate him at any program that he's at. The ratings point that out. And his mission, I think he has said that, to lead young men, to mentor them, whether we like the way he does it or whether you endorse it or not. He does have an impact on younger men who are 17 and 18 that may have never had a male figure in their lives. Will his message resonate with men who are 28, 29, 30 that have 3 kids? I mean, that's a very valid point. My view is, selfishly, as someone that wants college football to succeed, I didn't like Jim Harbaugh leaving, because I thought he was a very polarizing figure that made it fun, and now he's in the National Football League. So, yes, I think that's a very, very valid point by Mr. Walker.
As it relates to Deion and his mission and his, he wants to lead young men, this is one of them things I don't believe about Deion. That's what he says. Because if you remember, at one point, he wanted to build HBCU football and Jackson State and blah, blah, blah. And the next thing you know, boop, no, I'm off to Colorado, one of the whitest places in the planet. But that's neither. Today is not a day for me to criticize Deion. I'm admitting the man can coach. I think what Deion has always loved the most is money and attention. That's been Deion Sanders since he was a child. Where can you get the most money and attention? Putting that Dallas Cowboys star on your deal, being a Cowboy, playing for America's team, NFL ratings dwarf college football ratings. Any Deion coaching the Dallas Cowboys would be it would be Caitlin Clark-esque. Or it would be the biggest thing happening in sports. Wherever Deion can get the most attention, that's where he's going to end up, in my view. Steve, I'm going to let you go briefly, and we're going to come back and talk about inside the NBA and Stephen A. Smith and his contract negotiations. But I want to talk about a great way for those of you looking for alternative ways to spend cash, alternative ways to disrupt the economy. Talk about Alpine Gold. Inflation is eating away at your savings and is showing no signs of slowing down. At Alpine Gold, you can start earning a competitive return on precious metal leases that allow investors to protect against inflation while earning a competitive return at the same time. Every other precious metal IRA is lacking this. That's why Alpine Gold offers gold leases that pay you in gold. Everyone is eligible to start with returns up to 3.5% average per year. The Goldback is the world's first physical interchangeable gold money that is designed to accommodate even small transactions. Goldbacks do not need someone else's approval to spend, do not specify where they can be spent or what they can be spent on. They're anonymous. There's no need for people to know what you spend them on. When you buy 100 Goldbacks and lease them, Alpine Gold Exchange will give you 5 Goldbacks on your first lease payment. Payments occur 1 month after your lease begins. Limit 1 payment per person. Also, when you buy $1,000 of Goldbacks, they will waive all credit card fees. That's a 3.5% savings. Learn more about Goldbacks by visiting alpinegold.com. Use the promo code FEARLESS to receive free shipping on orders of more than $200. That's alpinegold.com, promo code FEARLESS. When we come back, I got a take on Stephen A. Smith inside the NBA and that ridiculous workout video that Stephen A. released last week. Next. The shots being fired my direction.
I should know he ain't really worth this shit.
You're nothing but a puppet and a brown noser.
Society is filled with people on the sidelines taking shots at successful people.
I've had enough of that fat bastard.
So, that's what I do. You coward.
I'll listen to you. If you have any ideas, I'll take them.
I love Jason Whitlock. I respect the hell out of him.
That I'm calling the Gatesville 8. I just don't want this thing between you and Eminem to turn into a Tupac and Biggie.
I'm full-blown MAGA tonight.
I sort of did a joke meme about it, like, hey, you know who else was persecuted right before Easter?
I've never voted, JD, is because I'm just incredibly cynical. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
These words are aboriginal, regretting our decisions. We all want to go to heaven with freedom. It's my obligation, no hate, discrimination, raising up your hands for freedom.
All right, welcome back. Before I bring Steve Kim into the conversation, I want to get a few things off my chest as it relates to Inside the NBA is going to air, I think, next season on ESPN. This is part of some settlement of a lawsuit. Warner Brothers getting NBA coverage, and they just had to come to some settlement, and TNT has lost the NBA coverage, but they're still going to do Inside the NBA, I think, on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That will now air on ESPN. And Stephen A. Smith, this impacts Stephen A. Smith to some degree. I'm sure NBA Countdown, I believe, will still continue, or I believe on Wednesdays and Fridays and maybe on Sundays or whatever. But now with TNT still producing Inside the NBA and it airing on ESPN on Tuesdays and Thursdays, that devalues and puts NBA Countdown in the junior position, the clear-cut junior position. And who knows, ESPN may just pony up more money and say, hey, TNT, would you guys do a third day? And you know what, we'll give you even more money if you did a fourth day. And who knows where they will come down on that. But it devalues NBA Countdown, which Stephen A. Smith has been a star of. I looked over social media, and there were all kinds of people just begging, like, hey, TNT, don't let Stephen A. Smith be in any way involved with the Inside the NBA deal, the Inside the NBA crew. Stephen A. Smith, as you all know, has been in a rivalry and a battle with Pat McAfee and fighting for this $25 million a year contract. And now Inside the NBA is coming basically to ESPN, which hurts Stephen A. Smith's value. They don't need him nearly as much now that they can twice a week have proper high-end NBA studio coverage. This hurts Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith yesterday, I believe, came out with, this is a 3-minute clip I think we want to play. He's talking about Inside the NBA, coming to ESPN, and he kind of hints like it's up in the air how long he'll be at ESPN. I believe this is SOT number 8. Let's play it.
Good news for NBA fans worldwide. That's because the hit show Inside the NBA with Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, the one and only Shaquille O'Neal, and of course, the incomparable Ernie Johnson is no longer a casualty of the new NBA deal. This was supposed to be the last season of Inside the NBA on TNT. But thanks to a settlement between Warner Brothers Discovery and the league office, the show will continue on ESPN and ABC starting in the 2025-2026 season. For those of you who don't know, Inside the NBA has won 21 Sports Emmy Awards since it started in 1989. A lot of people have been asking me about this, wondering how I feel about it, wondering what it means for my future, et cetera, et cetera. It doesn't affect me at all. I've got First Take. I got a lot of other things going on. Secondly, here's the biggest reason why it wouldn't affect me. All of them are my boys. Ernie Johnson is a phenomenal human being, a great host, a great man. I love him to death. Shaquille O'Neal is my brother. Kenny Smith and I go back to my days in junior high school when his brother Vincent Smith used to train me as a basketball player. And then, of course, there's the one and only Charles Barkley himself, who I also love dearly. They're friends. And not just to me, but anybody in the NBA community. How can you not love and respect and revere these brothers? And to see that this show, still scheduled to be produced in Atlanta by the TNT folks and what have you, airing on ESPN and ABC, to know that these brothers are going to stay together and continue to do the NBA for years to come, I can't be more happier for them, because I know that it created a lot of chaos once TNT lost its deal with the NBA, courtesy of Amazon and others, of course. Major props to Commissioner Adam Silver, to President Jimmy Pitaro of ESPN, along with the President of Content, Mr. Burke Magnus, Bob Iger himself, CEO of Walt Disney, and everybody else in between. It's the right thing. It's the right thing. And so, you know, when they come to ESPN, I mean, they'll still be doing their thing. Again, it's their show based out of Atlanta that will be airing probably twice a week in all likelihood. But the biggest thing is that, you know, hey, for all intent and purposes, they're teammates, not just my brothers. So I'm looking forward to watching them, continuing to show their greatness as commentators covering the game of basketball. Like I said, Kenny Smith and I go back many, many years, love them to death. And Shaq and Chuck speak for themselves. It's the best thing that could have happened for the NBA in the media industry. I couldn't be happier. Wishing them nothing but the best. Looking forward to seeing my boys on the channel that I work on, at least at the moment. Y'all, welcome aboard, fellas. Welcome aboard.
At least at the moment. Keep in mind, he throws that in at the end. At the very beginning, he said, this doesn't have any impact on me at all. At the very beginning, doesn't have any, he gets to the end, well, at least at the moment, this is the network I work for. And I found it, there was two other little key tales in there. He said, you know, probably twice a week is what he said. Clearly, there's a negotiation trying to get these guys, the Inside the NBA crew, on more than twice a week. And so that will cost ESPN money that would be taking money out of Stephen A's pocket. Stephen A mentions on that when he says, I got a bunch of things going on, first take and a bunch of other things. He doesn't mention NBA Countdown. That's a clue, that's a tell that ESPN is sitting there saying, hey man, we might just have to pony up a bunch of money to get this Inside the NBA crew to do this show 3, maybe 4 times a week. How much are we willing to pay for that? Kept talking about they're going to do it out of Atlanta. And it says ESPN's probably going to de-emphasize NBA Countdown and want to allocate less money for that, even if it does air a couple of times a week. Stephen A. Smith, this is the problem with doing these public negotiations the way that he's done this entire thing. He's been too public about it. So now he has to comment and show his hand and show that he's vulnerable right now. He's asking, I got to be paid more than Pat McAfee or y'all are racist. That's been his inference from the get-go. ESPN's been sitting there playing nice with Stephen A., but clearly making mammoth moves that affect Stephen A., and now he has to sit there and say, for the moment, because he's allowed, he's helped, like ESPN, they're prepared for his exit. Shannon Sharpe is a bigger star than Stephen A. Smith, period, end of story. Stephen A. Smith can leave First Take, and First Take will be perfectly fine with Shannon Sharpe. Everybody knows it. Stephen A. should have taken the $18 million or whatever, should have never gotten this competition with Pat McAfee, because here's the difference. Pat McAfee has his own show, The Pat McAfee Show, and it's doing well, particularly on YouTube. I think it's starting to do better on cable. And Pat McAfee is the star of College Game Day. ESPN is really invested in college football. They're really invested in that Saturday College Game Day show. And Pat McAfee is kicking butt over there. He's the star of that College Game Day show. Stephen A. Smith is the star of First Take, who brought on a star who's shining brighter than him. There's some former Green Bay Packer linebacker, A.J. Hawk, I think, is on the Pat McAfee show. A.J. Hawk is not Shannon Sharpe. He's no rival to Pat McAfee on that show. He's not outshining Pat McAfee on that show. Stephen A. Smith has someone on his show who's a bigger star than him. That's a mistake for Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith's got his problems are so monumental, and this is the real point of why I wanted to do this and talk about this. Did you all see last week, Stephen A. Smith put out a workout video. Stephen A. Smith with a basketball trainer helping him develop his shot. Have you seen this video? This is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen. It speaks to a level of insecurity. It speaks to a level of just like, does this man even know who he is? Does he have any self-awareness? Does he know what a clown or buffoon he looks like? He's trying, at 57 years old, he's trying to convince people that he's some sort of basketball player. Let's play the workout tape that Stephen A. Smith released. This isn't leaked footage. This is what Stephen A. Smith put on his own X account. Play the clip.
Time to get to work. Time to get to work. All right, enough of all this talking. Focus. Focus. Good. That's what I'm talking about. People saying you can't shoot the basketball. Focus. Everybody talking about you can't shoot the ball. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you've been training for an hour. We not playing no more, man. We not playing no more. Good. Good. That's what I'm talking about. Great job. Yes. Now, this is a good one. Stay in the moment the whole time. Thank you. Do that again.
Guys, I'm just, I want to play this again because it's incredible what we're watching here. This is incredible. I'm going to make an analogy to this that I just need you all to be able to comprehend. That was Stephen A. Smith's sex tape. That was his Shannon Sharpe sex tape. The guy, the shooting coach that's doing the shoot, he's Michelle. Remember Michelle? Oh, Shannon, blah, blah. That was the Stephen A. Smith sex tape. This man, play it again, and I just want you to think about Shannon Sharpe releasing the sex tape, the accidental release of the sex tape so that he could dispute the notion that he's closeted. And here's Stephen A. releasing a basketball tape trying to dispute the fact that he had no college basketball career, he had no high school basketball career, that he's been lying about his background for years and decades. Play the workout tape one more time again. It's the most amazing thing I've ever seen. Play the clip.
Time to get to work. Time to get to work. All right, enough all this talking. Focus. Focus. Good. That's what I'm talking about.
That's Michelle.
People saying you
That's Michelle.
Focus. Everybody talking about you can't shoot the ball. That's what I'm talking about. That's why you've been training for an hour. We not playing no more, man.
There you go,
We not
baby.
playing no more. Good. Good. That's what I'm talking about. Great job. Yes. Now, this is a good one. Stay in a moment the whole time. Thank you. Do that again.
This man is 57 years old. He's hired and paid for a shooting coach. What's the purpose? Think this through with me. What's the purpose? Who at 57 hires a shooting coach? How important is basketball at age 57? Or has someone climbed so deep off in your head, me, that you have to hire a shooting coach, pay someone to shoot a video, who knows how many edits they had to go through, how many shots to get this video, so you could prove to everybody, look, I'm 57, I can shoot the basketball. See, this proves I played at Winston-Salem State. This proves that I hit 17 straight three-pointers and got a scholarship on the spot. We couldn't find, I asked earlier, did anyone even look for my 6-inch screw that used to sit on my desk? We forgot all about it. But I want to play the clip of, because this all relates to why you'll never see Stephen A. Smith in a pair of shorts. Anytime he puts out one of these videos, anything athletic relating, he's always wearing a pair of sweats. You'll never see his knees because he's claimed he's got a 6-inch screw in his knee. Let's play shot number 10.
They talk about I averaged 1.5 points a game. I saw some article on social media. That's a lie. It was less. See that? You didn't know I was going to say that, did you? It was less than that. It's a lie. How about 0? Because I never played. Because I cracked my kneecap in half. I got operated on at Wake Forest University in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. My mama was by my bedside. My sisters came to see me. They said I'd never walk straight again. My bone cracked in half. My first year at Winston-Salem State. I still have those knee pains to this very day. Still. In the knee that still has a 6-inch screw in it that I never took out. And in the left knee, because I spent years overcompensating for the pain in the right knee. You didn't know that, did you?
I wish we had. Remember, we brought on the doctor who performed the knee-gina on Stephen A. Smith. They installed a vagina in Stephen A. Smith's left knee so that it could hold a 6-inch screw. Remember, we had that doctor on. I wish we should have invited that doctor. The man has a knee-gina so they can hold a 6-inch screw. This is probably a 5-inch pin. He's claiming he's got a 6-inch screw in his knee. The man weighs about 170, 165 pounds. His legs are sticks. He's always in a pair of sweats. Because he wants to conceal the fact. How does it make sense? He's got a 6-inch screw in his knee. He's got a knee-gina. I mean, that's the only explanation. Something that could hold a 6-inch screw was installed in his knee. This is the insecurity of this man. Just admit you've been lying, Stephen A. You're 57 and trying to prove to people that you were some sort of basketball player at 18, 19, 20 years old. I've never seen anything more embarrassing. What do we have? Remember the 17 straight threes, and we made the analogy to Wilt Chamberlain? Because he says that's how he got a scholarship to Winston-Salem State. There we go. Because he made 17 straight three-pointers in a workout in front of Big House games, and they offered him a scholarship on the spot. This man is haunted by these lies. He's put a video together, and it's all out of insecurity. He's being minimized on ESPN as it relates to NBA coverage. KD and these people, even though they won't acknowledge it publicly, they're calling him out clearly, privately, like, hey, bro, you lying about this basketball career. You lying about the whole thing. And so he puts out a video. I'm going to prove KD and everybody wrong. Look at my jumper at 57. I've hired a the guy that's coaching him, the guy playing Michelle, they say you can't shoot. But that's a professional coach that works with NBA players. Stephen A. has hired to help him tell this lie. Because remember, I took it all off the table as it relates to, remember he was running around with the guy Gary, I can't think of Gary's last name. He's a midget that he said he played basketball. No, it might as well have been Gary Coleman. Gary Stevens, yeah, I think that that guy. That he played. Stephen A. is 6'1". The guy next to him was at one point listed in the Winston-Salem State paper as a 6'3" two-guard recruit at Winston-Salem State. Stephen A. is 6'1". The guy next to him used to be a 6'3" two-guard at Winston-Salem State. I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he was involved in Stephen A. Smith's knee-gina surgery, and he had to give up part of his knee as a part of the whole operation, and that's why he shrunk down to about 5'9", 5'10". But he can't parade around with this guy and have that's Gary Stevens or Gary whatever his name is Stevens off to the right of Stephen A. Stephen A's in the gray suit. Gary, I'm telling you, he's 5'9", but allegedly he's 6'3". We hunted down the guy's information. He went to Old Westbury or some school in New York and played basketball there, met his wife there. I took that all off the table. This is the guy Stephen A. used to do podcasts where it's like, yeah, we were teammates, we were this and that. It's all a sham. It's such a sham that the guy hired a professional shooting coach to come in and put out a sex tape, a basketball sex tape for Stephen A. Smith. And it's a cry for help. Charles, Kenny, Shaq, let me on inside the NBA. Please. I'm a former player too. Look at my jump shot at 57. Please, please, let me on. Pat McAfee's making more money than me. That's racism. Help me fight racism. Racism will end when I make $25 million a year. If I only make $18 million a year, it's racism. ESPN is mistreating me. They're working me to death. I must be paid $25 million a year to end racism. That's all this is. I know some of you are Stephen A. Smith groupies. Some of you think that we should ignore these lies, the insecurity, the lies of Stephen A. Smith. We just, oh, he's black, Jason, look the other way. White people fabricate their backstories too. Well, Stephen A. Smith is the guy that decided to put together a 45-minute tape calling me fat bastard and calling me the seed of the devil and all the other stuff. Stephen A. decided to go to war with me. I like war. I'm good at it. And this is what comes along with it. I will eviscerate this man every chance I get. And will point out the fraudulence of this man every chance I get. Because it's an opportunity for you to understand just how phony and fraudulent these celebrities and what it is you have to do, be willing to do, in order to reach the top of these professions. So you got Shannon Sharpe out here releasing sex tapes to disprove the fact that he was running around sitting courtside with a gay stylist. And now you got Stephen A. Smith out here putting out shooting sex tapes to try to prove that he played basketball at Winston-Salem State 30 years ago and hit 17 straight three-pointers to get a scholarship on the spot. And he has a 6-inch screw in his knee, still to this day.
Jason,
quit messing with me.
Where does a doctor go to learn how to put in a knee-gina? Where does that come from?
We will have to get the doctor back. The doctor was a friend of Shemeka's, and so we'll have to bring the doctor back on.
Was that actually your statement, knee-gina? That's pretty powerful right there. Did you come up with that?
No, the doctor did. It's an actual surgery. They can put a vagina in your knee. Stephen A. Smith's got one. I'm just telling you. He's got one. He won't show it. He'll put on sweatpants. Stephen A., put on a pair of shorts and show everybody your knee. Do that. And then we'll buy the fact that you were the Wilt Chamberlain of Winston-Salem State. All right, let me remove some of the, let me get back to God. Let me return to my place of Zen. We'll bring Steve Kim back here to talk about this here in a second. Before we do that, let me go to my place of Zen. Maybe Zen's not the right word, but let me go to my place of peace. Preborn. You guys know I love Preborn. I love this organization. They support our worldview, our biblical view that life begins at conception. No organization supports that better than Preborn. They provide expectant mothers an ultrasound. They introduce the baby growing inside this mother to the mother with a heartbeat, with an image. Now this woman is twice as likely to choose life. That's when Preborn comes in, steps up, steps in, provides this woman the support she needs to get through the pregnancy, first 2 years of that baby's life. Preborn is amazing. They're having incredible results. They're saving 200 babies a day. How can you get involved? We get involved by supporting Preborn. Our donations, which are all tax deductible, support Preborn's work. They're on the front lines fighting the abortion mills, the abortion clinics, the satanic child sacrifice that so much of the left has embraced. We hit pound 250 on our cell phone, say the keyword baby, that's how we give, pound 250 keyword baby, or we go to preborn.com/fearless, preborn.com/fearless. Right now, we're looking for any donation, $5, $500, $50, $28 pays for a single ultrasound, $140 pays for 5. But right now, we would love some of you that want to step up big time and provide 24 hours of support for Preborn. For Preborn to accomplish everything that it does every day, it costs $5,000. We're looking for people that want to step up in a big way, give that $5,000 and pay for the financing of Preborn's operation for an entire 24-hour period. Pound 250, say the keyword baby, preborn.com/fearless. Either one gets you there. Thank you so much. We'll return to Steve Kim next. I hate to be this blunt, but I have to be because the truth sets us free. A lot of these people, their only qualification is their skin color that they have nothing to do with, and skin color doesn't offer a value. Perhaps she's scissored with half the WNBA. Maybe that's her qualification. Or perhaps a lot of these guys have been over for Diddy or someone else in a high executive position. That's their qualification. And then they come in and because I've scissored, because I'm black, because I'm a gay woman, because I'm a gay man, I have these special powers and special insight and special discernment to lead this entire company. It's a joke. It has to come to an end. It's damaging to the meritocracy. It's damaging to the entire country. It's why I'm so excited about Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy and the government efficiency deal, because I think it's about setting a tone for all of America. Cut the fat. Bring back merit and qualifications. Quit handing out token positions, creating a bureaucracy and layers in the corporation that just bring everything to a halt, and things aren't actually focused on actual production, who brings real value to the company.
Yeah, 모두 다 빨리 박수 쳐 기다리지 말고 서둘러 Isn't that I'm back just to feed you raps I see that you are 배불러 So
Steve Kim, welcome back to the show. What do you think's going on here with Stephen A. Smith? Do you think inside the NBA's arrival at ESPN impacts Stephen A. Smith's contract negotiations? And then we'll ask you about his basketball sex tape. But first, do you think this impacts inside the NBA coming there hurts him at ESPN?
Not sure. I just hope that it doesn't impact inside the NBA. I know there's been some speculation on, will Stephen A. be part of that crew? And Jason, I hope not. To me, less is more. As someone who has enjoyed that program throughout the years, not as much as in the past, I've always thought that the apex of inside the NBA as pure entertainment was when they had Ernie, the Jet, and Chuck. That's it. And when they added Shaq as the fourth wheel, to be perfectly blunt, I thought at times it was uncomfortable and it became an acquired taste, and now I'm used to it. But I don't need to see a fifth individual of any sort, any kind. I don't care. Just keep it the way it is, because I believe that Ernie is John Stockton. The Jet is who he is, a good complimentary player, and Barkley is the superstar. And then Shaq is the other superstar who doesn't always want to share the ball. So now you're going to add another person. I'm like, no, seriously. You ever seen that good team that adds that one NBA all-star and you're like, oh, God, it completely disrupts the chemistry of the whole team. And what's that old phrase? There's only one basketball. Well, generally, there's only one mic at a time. My biggest fear, Jason, talking about the show on ESPN, I hope that's not neutered. The best part of that program, in my view, is that Charles Barkley could be about as unfiltered as you can be on a major network. Now, when he starts talking about the beautiful, voluptuous women of San Antonio, who knows who that might upset on ESPN, one of those women's livers, right? Seriously. And do you really want Malika Andrews chirping about, oh, my God, we got to respect women? Oh, get out of here. So I would hope that inside the NBA stays inside the NBA. And I do find it interesting that Stephen A. Smith gives this big welcome letter, and then he says at the end, if I'm where I'm at right now, for now, who cares? If you leave, you leave. Who cares? ESPN, the day you leave Stephen A. Smith, if that happens, trust me, when I turn on the TV, it'll still be there.
Let me give you a better analogy, or my analogy. And again, I don't even like one of these people I'm going to reference here, but I'm going to compare inside the NBA to the Golden State Warriors. Ernie is Steve Kerr. Barkley is Steph Curry. Kenny Smith is Klay Thompson. And Shaq is Draymond Green. A necessary, ingredient that you gotta get used to. You gotta get used to and he's going to do some dumb stuff from time to time, but can't live with him, can't live without him. That's my analogy for inside the NBA. And adding, and Stephen A. Smith would not be adding Kevin Durant to that. It would be adding Russell Westbrook to that lineup. And no, they should not do it. What did you think of Stephen A. Smith's workout tape? And what do you think that says about, as someone who boxes to stay in shape, Stephen A. has hired a shooting coach for his workouts and releasing the video. Your thoughts?
Well, look, I've always known he had a pretty good stroke. I've seen footage of him before on NBA courts. And look, his stroke is still better than Angel Reese's. Okay, and she's putting in a lot of work, by the way. So here's and his shot is a lot better than his mitt work on boxing. That's embarrassing. Whoever let that out must have had an axe to grind with him. But yeah, look that up, folks. Google that. I don't know what this is about. One thing I never will do out of embarrassment is film or tape any of my workouts. Well, what's the point of it? I work out for me and my health. You will never see myself set up a camera on a tripod and see me hitting a heavy bag. It just won't happen. You got to have some self-awareness. But why is he trying to prove to people he can play basketball? He played basketball. That much has been like, that part has been proven. Now, how good he's been or where he played, I know that's a question. But yeah, Stephen A., you could shoot a basketball. Good. You've proven it.
All right, Steve, you're proving your Asianness if you think that's a good shot. You're not quite Jeremy Lin here. Let me walk you through it. Stephen A. Smith's shot. I don't know. Were you much of a basketball player? You were tall enough. You're 6'2". Yeah.
6'2". Yeah, that made me Yao Ming. That made me Yao Ming.
You finish here.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hold on. Look, you see where I'm finishing here with the left hand? Stephen A. Smith finishes out here. It's almost like it's a two-hand shot. I'm just telling you. Play the tape.
Okay.
What?
All right.
It's a very small detail. I'm just telling you.
Don't call Judge Butter in on this.
I mean, God, jeez. Okay, Black Drazen Petrovic, Mr. Form Shooter
Look,
here. I mean,
man,
you're making it sound like that's not Bill Cartwright's free throw form there. It's not bad. I didn't say he was Ray Allen. He's not Jesus Shuttlesworth. I'm saying it's a serviceable shot that if he was playing at LA Fitness, he wouldn't be the last guy picked. It'd probably be one of us Asians. That's all I'm saying.
It's not.
That's all I'm saying.
It's not a shot that knocks down 17 straight threes. It's the kind of shot. It's the kind of shot that gets you cut from your basketball team, and as a sophomore and a junior, it's the kind of shot where you end up quitting or get booted off your high school basketball team as a senior. It's the kind of shot that makes you go to some Fashion Institute junior college team that you never play for. It's the kind of shot that makes you dream up this fantasy scenario that in the middle of a college basketball season, you go and have a Sunday workout with Big House Games. They play on Saturday, and on Sunday they host a scrimmage where you show up midway through and hit 17 straight threes. That's the kind of shot that is. It's a fantasy shot. It's not a real basketball. And maybe he does look good at 24-hour fitness, but that's not the shot that lands you a basketball scholarship in the middle of a season on a Sunday.
Steve?
Butter, you played some high school basketball. What do you think of that shot?
Yeah, I had a Allison. I had a crossover like AI. He called you Jeremy Lin right at the top of it, and you let that just roll off. I'm surprised at that.
Compliment.
He's got a good jump shot. It's a decent jump shot. Now, I never in a million years when I saw this subject coming up that we would be able to put all of this other information with that video. It's incredible, but it's not a bad jump shot.
But now I'm questioning everything about your high
It's
school
a decent
basketball team.
jump shot.
Were there any black guys on your high school team, Butter? Were there any black guys on your high school team?
I was the only white kid. And let me tell you something. When you're the only white kid on a basketball team, showering with those dudes back in 7th grade was not fun for me, okay? Was not fun.
TMI. So there was brothers on your high school basketball
All brothers.
team.
All brothers.
And you think that's a good shot?
I'm saying...
all your former teammates.
I'm saying for what it is, is not a bad jump shot.
For a 57-year-old, it's right.
Now,
but that's not a scholarship basketball shot. He didn't. And you see any proof of a 6-inch screw in his knee?
I don't even think 6-inch screw at this point. I think something else. Okay. No.
All right.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm done with you guys.
All right. I just want to make this point again.
Go ahead.
That jump shot is not exactly Reggie Miller, but it's not Michael Adams either. Remember him? Michael, he had that funny looking thing for the Nuggets, but it's a decent LA Fitness jumper. That's all me and Butter. Butter, thank you for being. I'm glad you're aboard. You've grown on me too. Thank you, Butter.
Look, I may have been wrong about Deion, but I'm dead right here on Stephen A. Smith. Thank you, Steve. We're going to move on to Shemeka and find out what was popping in the chats. Next. Welcome to Extra Fearless with Jason Whitlock. I am Jason Whitlock, your host. Oh my God, Lyndon Johnson, his thoughts are so disgusting. I can't believe you would engage with him. The celebration for being a slut have never been greater. Why do you choose Taylor Swift, and why do you pick up a role as, let me help my woman undress on stage in front of an audience?
When I look at people like Sexy Red or Cardi B that we prop up, now I see that the white community as well is just as fried.
It does look to me like he made some eye contact with her and then just decided, nah, let me move on. The BET Awards seems like a psyop at this point. It's just Democratic brainwashing. Get in there and fight for all the things. Steve, that's it for you. I'm done. All right, welcome back. Before we get to the chat, we were having a discussion this morning, or last night, I believe Shemeka was in on. Shemeka, we were talking about Donald Trump. And hold for a second, before we get to Shemeka, the doctor's here. The doctor that installed the knee-gina in Stephen A. Smith. Do you care to, how did Stephen A.'s knee looks good in that workout video? You performed a hell of a surgery.
Yes, thank you. You mentioned that he couldn't wear shorts because of the knee-gina surgery, but I just wanted to let you know that when it comes to a knee-gina can take or cover a 6-inch screw, right? It's only when you get to, because 6 inches are average. That's the average screw size. It's only when you get to like an 8.5, 9-inch screw, those are the ones that make you say, woo, woo, woo. Can you woo, 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 woo? So with the 6-inch, he can still get around and move around and, show it. I just wanted to let you know that.
I knew I shouldn't ask. Can you? That's Johnny Gill, ain't it? Or can you? Or who is that? Johnny Gill or is it Luther Vandross? Can you woo woo woo? Who is it?
No, anyway, I can't even remember who that was. He had a curl though. He had a Jerry curl or something. I remember.
Oh, anyway, let's move on. Before I get myself in more trouble, let's move on to Donald Trump. We were having this discussion last night about, for the first time, it feels like conservatives have the cool factor. And this whole Trump dance, it's not just Trump, but like conservatives are the cool people. And these angry leftist celebrities, they're no longer cool, and that's why you see Kid Rock, Jelly Roll, everybody, warming up to Donald Trump, wanting to be seen with Donald Trump. There's nothing, people taking a picture with Donald Trump is now a big thing, whereas taking a picture, like, what was it, in 2020, 4 years ago, when I interviewed Trump, that was like, oh, that was seen as the kiss of death. How dare you be photoed with Donald Trump? Lil Wayne, he was photoed with Donald Trump. Ray Lewis visited Donald Trump. You were seen with Donald Trump. Now it's the worst. Now it's the actual best thing. Donald Trump has made being conservative cool, I think, for the first time. I had, TJ, who's like 12 years old, swears up and down that when Ronald Reagan was president, conservatives were cool. And Hadley, who was drunk or high throughout the 1980s, he remembers Donald Trump being cool. I don't remember it that way. This is the first time I felt like conservatives actually have the cool it factor. Shemeka, what do you think? And I know you were just 15 years old when Ronald Reagan, or maybe 8 when Ronald Reagan was president, but go ahead.
I was 6 when Ronald Reagan was president.
Yeah. There you go. Perfect.
But yes, no, we never thought he was cool. Now I am definitely seeing people of all ages feel like Donald Trump is cool. He's like the Danny Zuko. Anybody who watched Grease, we all understood Danny was cool. Now, he wasn't the star athlete. Remember, he had to actually try to get into something to impress Sandy. He wasn't the star athlete. He wasn't the one where you would say maybe he was most popular, but he was the coolest. And so that's what we're seeing when it comes to Trump. I'm seeing from little kids, 5 years old, talk about Trump. And these are people that I know personally. I'm seeing some of the toughest men in the city rock their Make America Great Again hats. And so this is just a big change. Yes, from 2020, definitely from 2016, where it's now cool. It's cool to do the dance. It's cool to wear the Make America Great Again hat, the red one. And it's cool for everybody to be online kind of saying, this is who I support. People who would have never done that 4 years ago are now coming out and feeling like I'm at the cool kids table. So I can't see Ronald Reagan at the cool kids table. We kind of started that with Bill Clinton, because he played his saxophone on Arsenio Hall and said that he smoked, and we know what he did with Monica. People were saying he was the first Black president. They felt like he was cool. Then, of course, Obama, we could look at his smoker's lips. People thought, he smoked cools. But now Trump is like, he's the man, and everybody's seeing it, and they're hopping on board.
I'm going to make this analogy and further date myself. Butter, I don't know if, you should probably remember this, but the Trump dance reminds me of Arthur Fonzarelli. Hey, on Happy Days. That's Henry Winkler, and that character on Happy Days was the cool guy. And you used to go up to people, hey, but that's what the Trump dance is like. It's unique, I think, for conservatives to be in that spot where the culture and the momentum of the cultures is moving his way. We're actually going to talk about this tomorrow on Tennessee Harmony, where, again, I don't know how Trump has accomplished it, but now it's like people are talking more openly about their faith. That's what we saw from John Jones. That's what we're seeing from a lot of athletes, and I think this is part of the Trump effect. It's been cool to kind of lean into your faith publicly as well.
That fight at the Garden, the Madison Square Garden, I've watched that video, I don't know, 100 times, because it says everything that's happening in that one video. And to be able
Fight at the Garden, what are you talking about?
The UFC fight the other night, when he came out with Kid Rock and Mike Johnson.
That was in Vegas, wasn't it?
I thought it was at Madison.
Maybe MGM Garden. Oh, it was in New York?
I thought it was in New York.
My bad.
The fact that it was in New York, the fact that it's Madison Square Garden, the fact that it's coming off of the election, the energy, Kid Rock, his team, Elon Musk, I could go down the list of, Tulsi he had his coalition with him, the cameras, Jelly Rolls there, and he's remodeling the YMCA song, which has one of the most famous iconic dances in the history. So you're talking about the Fonzarelli and, you know, all that, but like, I just can't get over how much the energy just feel. They were talking during the election, they're the party of fun, they're the party of. This is fun. This is a real movement and a real energy, and I'm here for it. I just think it's exciting. It's easy. This move right here.
Easy for anybody to do.
Anyone can do it, and it's like it's working. Dr. Shemeka, it's working.
The last dance that was like this was the Macarena, and I can't remember how they do the Macarena. Anyway, let's move. Yeah, there we go. I can't remember. The chat. Let's move to the chat. Shemeka, what was popping in the chats today?
Also, that was Jeffrey Osborne. Woo, woo, woo. Jason.
And what, Jeffrey? Thank you.
Now, I did it myself. Okay.
Next.
Connor Akers says Jerry Jones trying to become the Cowboys quarterback. He's left a super chat, so thank you, Connor. But
thank you,
Jason,
Connor. You know, for bad chats like this, you're gonna have to up the ante there. $2, $2 don't get you on here when you really are offering nothing. Up the ante. Next.
Okay, now Jason, you got a bit flamed in the chat initially because people do not think that Deion should be an NFL coach. I'm just going to run down the list really quickly of some of those. Q-Dog said Deion can't even handle in-game decisions in Big 12. He would be lost as an NFL coach, and no NFL players want that circus clown for a coach. Stop the nonsense. Maurice Fry says, stop. Nobody wants Deion as a coach. Larry Connor Jr. says Deion is not an NFL head coach. Those grown men will not be impressed by his persona. Wildflower 434. Stop it, Jason. Shock. Maurice Fry. Whitlock went too long on his elliptical this morning. The Texas Truth says, Massa, I can't keep going against the man. All the other sports talk people trying to gang up on me and call me out, Master. Mr. Terrible, Deion is a total joke. 07 Honcho, Shemeka, you better call Jason out about the 360 in 24 hours. Why he tucked his tail. So they are not getting with you on this, Jason, at all.
Wow. I was not expecting that. I did a 180, not a 360, but I hear you. But look, I'm not wrong here. And I'm not saying Deion would be a super successful NFL head coach, but he's proven he's worthy of that shot and chance. I think his coaching approach fits better in the NFL than college. I'm going to stand on that business. And so, you know, I hear you all. I get why you feel that way, but I disagree. Next.
Dopey Keith Wolf. This is when you were saying you're only wrong like every 9 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Says, Shemeka, tell Jason he was wrong on Joe Burrow last year or 2 years ago. Someone named Jason. You weren't? Go ahead.
Yeah, I was not wrong about Joe Burrow. You know, I think that's what they call, I was slightly off, but not wrong. I think that was the official ruling. Slightly off, but not wrong. Next.
RJ Sports Facts says Whitlock was right about Joe Burrow a few years ago. He is overrated. I'm surprised he forgot about that, and he left a super chat.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next.
Jason says you were wrong about Simone Biles.
Definitely not wrong about Simone Biles. Next.
Wildflower says 434. I disagree, Jason. You were wrong about Angel Reese as being the gift for the WNBA. Yes, she got drafted, dressed well at the draft, very feminine in her looks, but Angel blending fumbles, bumbling WNBA.
Not wrong about Angel Reese. Her femininity has helped the WNBA. Her terrible shot has hurt the WNBA, or at least given us something to laugh about. And she still needs to tone down her persona and quit leeching off Caitlin Clark. Next.
William Carter says, Shemeka, remind Whitlock he predicted the Cowboys would go to the Super Bowl this year.
That was actually said in jest, in hindsight. At the time, I meant it, but in hindsight, it was just a joke I was cracking, trying to motivate the Detroit Lions. We went to official replay review on that. Everybody that watches that knows, well, he said it like he believed it, but he was really just joking. So not wrong on that. Next.
Lastly, Jason, we were all uncomfortable in the chat when Steve started to talk about Stephen A. Smith's stroke. I don't know if he could have used a different word, but we didn't like that. And he was praising his stroke. It came across as a woo, woo, woo. We ain't like it. We didn't like it at all.
One thing I'll give the chat credit for, nothing gets past y'all. Nothing gets past y'all because I did, when he said that, it crossed my eyes. Oh, there's a good joke in there. And thanks to the chat, y'all got it. Great job. Shemeka, we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll see all of you tomorrow. We'll play tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
Waiting for the countdown, coming off the breakdown, standing in line for freedom. Looking for a breakout, feeling like a standoff, nothing in life like freedom. Came like a fighter, striking like a ladder, making all these moves for freedom. I want freedom. No negotiation, my sister, no relation. We all just wanna have freedom. Sitting on a corner, never been alone. I'm breaking my back for freedom. Blessed, we are living, get back. We are receiving, no deceiving. We all wanna be free. We want freedom. I just want, I wanna be. I just want, I wanna be. I just want, I wanna be. I just want.